I'm going to leave Tozeur today and I'm going to head to Matmata. Now Matmata is famous for its incredible troglodyte houses. And also, it was used in the original Star Wars movie. But there's going to be a whole bunch of other stuff on the way. This is going to be a long journey, there's going to be some incredible sights. So, let's go. Now, not really that far from Tozeur, we come across this incredible place, Chott El Djerid. Now, when you look at this on a map, it's like a massive, massive lake, the biggest lake in the country, with a road bridge running across the whole of it. But most of the time, it's not really a lake. The water is pretty much evaporated, you see the layer of salt there, and certainly at the moment at least, it's not a bridge. But it is an absolutely wide open plain, all covered with this white from the salt. So this is really just a stop-off point along the way, along the causeway. It's really quite amazing to see. I've seen quite a few salt lakes and salt rivers, but here it just really crunches as you walk here. Just such an incredible barren landscape again. It's quite a otherworldly sort of environment here. And it's so big as well. We've been driving quite a while across this and we're nowhere near even halfway across this massive salt lake. As we drive across the salt lake, we get gradually higher in altitude. From around 7 meters below sea level, you notice the change in the environment here as well. Whereas before, we saw these endless white fields of salt. Now we're seeing a lot more sand covering the salt here. At this point, we're even seeing some shrubs and greenery here, cutting out the endless expanse. Come off the causeway now, we're the other side of the big salt lake, and the environment's definitely changed. Seeing a lot more sand dunes now at this altitude, the green kind of rough foliage here, but then also these kind of artificial man-made sand dunes, which are raised to a certain level to offer protection from the advancing sand here. You can see an oasis ahead, and I think we're going to get more back into civilization at this point. So we stopped at this building here, and this shows a really interesting form of irrigation around here. This building is actually a well, but the well produces water that's around 60 degrees. It's way too hot for irrigation, so the purpose of this building is actually to cool the water. The water from the well rises to the top, and it goes through this system of bars slowly down, lowering it by about 20 degrees to around 40 degrees. The water then goes on to man-made brooks, which then go on to irrigate the surrounding land and oasis. It looks a little old and decrepit, but it's been used for many, many years. You can see the minerals on the building from the water that's run through it over such a long period of time. But of course it serves this incredible purpose of maintaining the beautiful green of the land. Whoa! Wow, and even at the bottom point here, it feels really, really hot. So as well as the cooling of the water, it's necessary as well to filter the water. And we see that on these steps, where this layer of mud is collecting the iron and the sulfur that's found naturally in the water and filtering that out, you see by the coloration here. So this water source feeds one part of Qibilī oasis, at least the near part. So we're going to go down to the town of Qibilī and the oasis now and have a look at the actual trees that this supports. Supposedly there's many more wells like this one feeding the oasis as a whole. So driving through these parts, of course, we see so many date plantations, date trees everywhere. But also, coming through the towns and villages around here, we just see them at the side of the road. But who owns these? Well, that's the question. Supposedly, these are just owned by the local community. However, someone has to maintain these. It's not easy maintaining a date tree, it takes a lot of work. So typically that's done by the nearest house to the tree. And of course then the nearest house to the tree, they get the priority on the crops. But back to the irrigation of the Qibilī oasis. Well, This is the Qibilī oasis and plantation where the massive dates are grown, and this is where the well that we saw and the other wells in the area feed the water to. And what you'll see here, of course, in these big professional plantations is the way the dates are looked after. They're all bagged. But why are they bagged? Well, dates don't really like humidity and they don't like water. So the bags actually have a kind of twofold purpose. The top part of the bag that you see is actually waterproof. It stops any rain from getting on the dates and from spoiling them, making them go sour. But also, to stop the humidity, you need the bottom half of the bag, which still lets the air in. And this is the town centre, effectively, of Douz. So this is a very, very traditional town right on the edge of the desert. And unlike Tozeur, which is essentially trapped between two salt lakes, here it's not. The salt lake is to the side, of course, that we've been through today, but this is really surrounded by sand. But visiting Douz for me isn't about the town itself. It's about it being the gateway to the Sahara, just a different side of the Sahara than what we saw yesterday. And now, Douz is actually home to an international festival. So every year for 7 days, from I believe the 21st of December to the 30th of December, there's a festival here, right on this spot where I'm at. And what they do here, it's all kind of events like camel racing, like hunting, or competitions. And that's held right here. So this is the seating around here. And the start of the desert here that we see, this is where the events are held. Well, this could certainly be a very, very different way to spend Christmas this year. Now, Douz to me just seemed not so great. It was a little bit overdeveloped for tourism, but in the kind of way where it was developed to such an extent that it couldn't sustain itself. You see massive, massive hotels there, tour buses outside, but at the same time other massive hotels completely shut down, deserted, smashed windows. So obviously built up to too big an extent. What I also saw down there was a company doing camel tours, quad biking in the desert, but it just all seemed a bit messy. It was just row upon row of people on the back of camels just doing a tour there, but also the edge of the desert there, just a lot of garbage, very unkept. So I didn't really choose to hang around. It's not really what I come here for. But I've just come across to Zaafrane, and on the outskirts of Zaafrane you see some real beauty. Here we see these lovely, lovely white sand dunes. It's really, really pretty. The town of Zaafrane itself, not really much to see there, but these outskirts. Oh, look at this perfect sand. Now, if there's one thing that Douz is going to be very, very useful for, it's stopping off for lunch. I am absolutely starving now. So for lunch, I got this lamb dish in a very traditional preparation. It's kind of the same sort of concept as a Moroccan tagine, where it's put into this kind of pot here and cooked so it all steams within the pot. So there we go, we take the lid off. And we got lamb in there, some tomato, some potato. Wow, that sauce is very, very different again. There's almost curry-like character to it. Really nice spicy, not hot spicy at all, but just a nice kind of sort of light curry-style spiciness. That's tasty. Yeah, the lamb works really, really nicely with that sauce there. The lovely meatiness from the lamb combined with that nice kind of spice in the sauce there. Works together well. Delicious. As we head away from Douz on the road to Matmata, even the road itself seems to show this mirage effect, with the glistening and gleaming of water in the distance constantly receding. It's a very stark, flat desert plains out here. A lot of sand, a lot of bushes within that sand. Must still be the kind of edge of the Sahara. Okay, so this is Matmata, where I'm going to be spending the night. This is just the entry point. The museum over here, well, it looks a bit cheesy to be perfectly honest, but that's not what we've come for. We've come to see the Troglodyte cave homes, one of which just a little north of Matmata I'll be spending the night in, and one of which was used in the original Star Wars movie, which I won't be spending the night in. Let's go take a look. And you can see from the side of the road here, the kind of landscape that we have, you totally get the way that this inspires the planet of Tatooine on Star Wars. Really incredible. And just over the road here, we have one of the traditional Berber style cave houses, which we can go in and have a look at. So we just popped in here, and already, just before I've even got in, the lady here is making bread in this lovely outside oven, like a kind of tandoor style oven here. Okay, so supposedly in a few minutes we should even be able to taste the bread. That's fantastic. We've been invited inside to take a look now, so I'm not going to turn that down. So this is the entrance room here, but also traditionally where the camels would be kept. Now what we see here is a traditional loom that's used to make the carpets that we see on the floor here. It's quite an amazing and painstaking process of weaving the, I don't know, wool, the material together like this. And this is the traditional way they do the grinding of the grain for the bread. Wow, it actually looks like quite some hard work there. Very manual process.
Here is the bread that you saw done in the baker. Come on.
Ah, yes.
Come on, touch.
Okay, so this is the traditional bread from the oven that we just saw being cooked ready already. Nice and hot and lovely charred. Super fresh, wheaty. Thick, definitely thick.
You put in oil and then in honey.
So I take a bit of the bread here and I put it in the oil and then in the honey, and then I try that together. Wow. That's such a strange flavour combination. It's exactly what you think it would be. The olive oil and the honey together in the bread. That works. Particularly with a nice char on the bread as well. And they're giving us a nice mint tea to try as well. It's always lovely to have a nice mint tea in this hot weather. Although down in here you do get a lovely breeze actually, this kind of natural air conditioning and cooling. It actually does work, I can really feel that right now. And it is a hot day, believe me. There's the mint tea. Oh, lovely. Really spearminty, really fresh mint. Kind of like, it's less like tea and more like I'm cleaning my teeth. In a good way. Super refreshing. Okay, here we are. This really is quite a cheesy tourist site, but it's got to be done. I know it's going to be a bit of a rip-off here. The Hotel Sidi Idriss. So this was the actual cave house that was used in the first Star Wars movie where Luke Skywalker lived. Yeah, and they well know it. Oh no, I'm not looking for t-shirts. I like black t-shirts. Star Wars. Hotel Sidi Idriss. Now, I know it's cheesy, and I know it's touristed, and I know it's not what it was in the movie, but it's still so amazing to be here. I really grew up with this. You know, this was the original Star Wars movie. This is where Luke Skywalker lived, on the planet Tatooine, and we're surrounded by these amazing landscapes. And so the venue here nowadays, as well as being the hotel, of course, with rooms that you can stay, also has the bar, so it's become a bit of a local drinking spot. There's certainly the locals hanging out and having a few beers. Well, I'm here. I've been wanting to come here for a while, and it's been some heavy travelling over the last couple of days, so cheers. Got to sit here and relax like the locals do for a while. So as I understand it, there's about 500 of these cave dwellings here in Matmata. Probably about a quarter of those are populated now with families. Supposedly, when the new city was built by the government offering people homes, normal homes away from these cave dwellings, initially families moved away. They moved into the new homes, and then a lot of them didn't like it. They wanted to come back to the old caves. And so quite a few did, but then they ended up holding on to the new homes as well for their children. And so the new city of Matmata expanded, and it's now about 4 times the size of the old city. Now I'm staying in another place which is actually about 4 to 5 kilometers north of Matmata. So it'll be more remote. Supposedly it's the best in the area, but it was quite affordable when I just emailed them direct. Let's go take a look. No, I don't want. I want this. I want the sign. Thank you, thank you. Ah, what a great place! Just before we finish off at this new, well, cave dwelling hotel, then up on this hill with this incredible lunar-style landscape by the Matmata sign. Huh. Wow, what an adventure around here. Okay, so that's another long day, but this is it. So this is my little cave home for the night. It looks charming, lovely little courtyard. It feels cool down here. It's a nice room. There we go, pop little cave here. I don't really know what the side room's for. That's just kind of empty, but yeah, looks nice. Looks like an interesting place to spend the night. And one thing I noticed as well, just driving up to here, there's no street lamps. There doesn't seem to be any unnatural light. The sky is now completely cleared up to a lovely blue. I'm really hoping later for an amazing night sky. And the thing that's really inspired me to come here is the incredible night sky I should be able to see from here. The timing is absolutely perfect. It's a new moon, there's not a cloud in the sky. And also, the place is perfect. There's hardly any unnatural light in the area, and the little tiny bit that there is going to be gone later on tonight. Okay, and after a night staying in this incredible place, this little part of the adventure is over. It's been incredible. The night sky last night was absolutely spectacular. It wasn't quite the Milky Way that you see in the pictures. That continues to elude me, but it's still possibly the best night sky I've ever seen in my life. I spent most of the evening just staring at the stars. Incredible. I'm heading back up north now towards Tunis, but it's a long, long way. I'm going to make one more stop off on the way. I got a pretty good idea where that's going to be, but not 100%. That's at the whim of the Louages. We shall see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and you'll come along for the next one. Hope to see you later, guys. Well, I'm glad I didn't eat recently. Oh boy.